Hello and welcome to my video game sound design series on Massive. In this video, I want to show you how to make dynamic, evolving sound design using the Performer tool, which is one of my favorite parts of Massive. Now, typically for these videos, I usually have a bit of a plan on what sort of patch I'm going to make, but in this case, we're just going to wing it and see what comes out because the Performer really allows for some weird and crazy stuff to happen. So the Performer in Massive lives in any one of these LFO windows that you see here on the middle right. So when you're in one of these LFO windows, I'm going to take one of these and go to this right-hand area here where it says LFO with a little arrow pointing down. Click that, and then you can click Performer. And this is basically just a step sequencer, and I'm going to explain these parameters in just a moment. So this is what we're going to be playing with primarily in today's video. We're going to try some stuff out and see what happens. This patch may be awful, and of course, like always, I always upload these patches for you to download so you can play with them and use them however you want. No permission needed. Use them in professional projects. Go for it. So what we're going to do is make something and see what comes out. And this way you'll understand how the Performer works, and you'll see how awesomely powerful and fun and hilarious it can really be. So just a heads up, the sound may end up being totally crazy, so don't crank your sound super loud in case something insane and really sharp or harsh comes out of this. We'll see. All right, so first thing we're going to do is, of course, like always, we start in these oscillator section over here. So I'm going to use, in today's video, let's do modern talking, which is used in a lot of growl synths for dubstep, and you can do a lot of cool kind of Transformers-esque sound design with it as well. So modern talking is what I'm going to start with. I'll just play a few notes for you so you can hear what it sounds like completely raw. So you can hear as I get lower and lower, you can kind of tell that, yeah, that starts to sound like a dubstep growl synth the lower and lower I get. So that's what we're going to start off for now. We're probably going to add more and more oscillators as we go along, but let's just start with one for now so I can demonstrate what this Performer does, how it works, what all these shapes mean, all that good stuff. So what I'll do is add a filter, just a standard low-pass 4 filter. So if I play it now, you can hear that there's a filter on it. I'm going to take that cut off significantly higher. Cool. So we have a low-pass filter on our modern talk oscillator. Cool. Great. So now what we're going to do is take this Performer right here, and I'll attach that to the wavetable position over here. So you click these arrows here, attach it in that slot there. Let's move this into the middle. And by the way, if I'm going too fast, watch all my basics of Massive videos. I have 5 or so videos where I explain how Massive works and how you can use it. So if this is going too fast, I have a bunch of those on my playlist. So go watch those. They're on the same playlist. Watch those first so then you can understand what's going on. All right, so I'll take this wavetable position and I'll crank it up like this. And now what will happen is this top row will affect the wavetable position using this shape. So I'll just hold down a key and you'll see what happens. So each one of these steps modulates this wavetable position depending on how much we set the range to based on this shape. And we can choose how many steps we want. Right now we have 16 steps, but we can change it to 6. We can have as many as we want from 1 to 16. So, okay, cool. We have the wavetable changing position as this curve changes. But we can also change the shape of each of these curves. And right now we're just concerned with this top row. Don't worry about this bottom row for now. It is the same thing. Both of these rows are exactly the same thing, and it took me a while to figure out. But I'll show you what the difference is and how to activate each of them in a moment. So if I click this load curve button, you're going to see that we have a whole bunch of shapes loaded in here. And what I can do is take any one of these shapes. Let's take this double spiky one here, and I can place that into any one of these steps. And I can also click and drag to place it in multiple steps. Then you can click and drag up and down to change how much this shape is going to affect this parameter. So I'm going to play this now and you'll hear it change twice per step where we have these kind of double spike shapes. Which is pretty cool. So we have a whole bunch of options on shapes. So I'll just click and drag this one, which is a pretty smooth shape. Whole bunch of different shapes. Now, the fun part is this random button here. So you can choose what you want to random. So you can do randomizing the upper levels, which is this upper row, how high and low all these levels are for each of these steps. Or the curves, so what the shape of the curves are. Or the upper performer, which changes everything. It changes the levels and the curves. Or you can do that for the lower level as well, and I'll talk about the lower level in a second, but that's just this bottom row here. Or you can randomize everything, which is very fun. So if I just randomize, let's say, these upper curves, I'll make these all louder. And now I'll just hold the key down and we'll see what that sounds like. So you can hear the dubstep use for sure here. Now I'm going to click load curve again to get rid of that window. And now I can take this rate knob and turn it up or down depending on how fast I want this rate to go. So I can turn it up really fast and make it sound really, really silly. That's me holding a lower key, by the way. So it's giving a really strange, kind of neat sound. Now, a cool thing is this bottom row. What we can do is switch between hearing what the top row is doing and what the bottom row is doing to this wavetable position. So we can do that by playing around with this X-Fade fader right here. So if I turn this all the way down, we're going to hear only the bottom row acting on that wavetable position. I'll turn this down so it's a little more clear. And if I turn this all the way up, we're going to hear this top level being acted on the wavetable position. If I put it in the middle, we'll hear a bit of both. So it's more of a smooth transition between the two. Now, one cool thing I like to do, and this is a new feature that I haven't shown you yet in this tutorial series, is using a macro to control this crossfade fader. So what I like to do is use my modulation wheel that normally controls vibrato. You can see it down here. By default, your mod wheel CC1 controls vibrato. But what I like to do is actually hook this up to the crossfade sequence fader here so that you can switch between these two lanes really quickly and really rapidly using this mod wheel. So to do that is pretty easy. You just click these arrows like we do with any other parameter, add it down here and click and drag, and then now we have a big range to play with. So if I turn my mod wheel all the way up, which you can kind of see down there, as I turn it up, you can see the level go all the way up, and if I turn it all the way down, you can see it go all the way down. And if I turn it all the way up, this fader is essentially going to be all the way up, and we're going to be hearing this top row. And if I turn it all the way down, we're going to hear only the bottom row. So if I turn it all the way up and hold the note, and then all the way down, and then you can go nuts and automate the heck out of it and play between the two, which is really, really fun. So you can also rename this. By default, it's named vibrato, but I can rename it to, let's say, crossfade, like that. You can name it to whatever you want. So what I can do is now randomize the lower performer, and you can just keep clicking this random button over here to cycle through a whole bunch of random stuff. That one looks fun. And now I can just play with my mod wheel and play between the two. It's really fun. It's silly. It's great. You can do a lot of cool stuff. But we're not done here. I just wanted to show you what that exactly does, what this performer does. So it affects a parameter, whichever one you want, based on the shape and height of these curves. And you can change the speed of that using this rate. So now what I can do is take the same performer and attach it to our filter cutoff, which I really like to do. That's a fun, common one as well. And now I'll hold down a note. So you can definitely hear dubstep-y sort of stuff. Now what I'm going to do is take this performer and let's add it to the pitch of this oscillator, and I'll just crank this up. So it'll go, actually let's crank it down. So it'll go down in pitch. So it gets real silly, real fast, which is just awesome. And now what I'm going to do is add 2 more oscillators in here. So let's beef up this silly sound we have here. And I'm going to make these curves not so insane, actually. So what I'll do is just kind of reset this top one to be a little more sane. So a little more standard like that. So now if I play it with the mod wheel all the way up, something a little more sense-making maybe is what we're up to. But I can also switch to the bottom at any time using my mod wheel to make it sound crazy all of a sudden. Which is just great. Love this feature. So what I'll do on this second one, let's add iron, which is one of my favorite oscillators here. I'll turn this first one down. So we have iron underneath that, which is great. I'm going to change the cutoff of this filter a little bit. Cool. All right, great. So now on this third one, I like the sound, I like the gritty sound of rough math. So let's play around with that. Cool. All right. So now what we can do is let's actually pitch this whole thing down, this first one down a little bit. And let's apply that to all of them. Let's pitch them all down. Let's change this, play around with the cutoff a little. Just playing around with some of these parameters here to see what I like, which is pretty standard of working in Massive. I'm going to turn this resonance down. Yeah, there we go. I'm going to reverse this cutoff. So it starts off, the filter starts off nice and open and then closes up, depending on the shape of these waveforms. And let's have some fun and make this sound a little jittery. That's a little too jittery. Cool, and let's add a couple regular ones in here. And fun tip, you can click one of these shapes, hold down Shift, and then you can click multiple zones without needing to constantly go back to the shape selector. So you can make cool rhythms there, which is a lot of fun. And now what we're going to do is attach this performer to a whole bunch of other stuff. Let's see what we can get. So you can attach this performer, say, to the modulation oscillator, which can be really fun. Actually, let's attach that to the ring modulator down here. And let's apply that to oscillator 1. And now let's attach this performer to the pitch of the modulation oscillator. Let's make it go up. Let's pitch this whole thing up. Let's pitch it down, actually. Now, the other two oscillators are just providing a strange drone in the background, so I'm going to apply the amplitude, or the performer to the amplitude of these, so that they change dynamically as well. Now what I'm going to do is add some effects. I'm going to add the dimension expander, which I really like. It's kind of a type of reverb that is exclusive to Massive. All right, this is sounding real stupid, which is great. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to add, actually I'm going to change this pitch automation from the performer to be an envelope. So what I'm going to make it do is go up in pitch. Yeah, or go down in pitch rather. So every time I press a key, the pitch goes down for a split second before settling. Now, if I play really low on the keyboard, let's see how this sounds. Let's go a little lower. Now I'm actually going to smooth this out. Those spikies are a little bit of an odd rhythm. Let's change the range of this cutoff here. That's a little too low. Can't even hear a thing. Let's lower these so they're not so aggressive. So you can hear if I lower these completely, let's flatline these. Nothing really happens to the sound. It's just the raw sound as if there is no performer. So for some of these, you can actually make it so it's totally flat. So now what I'm going to do is take this performer and let's add it just for funsies to this amp. Or to the pan, sorry. So now you can make it so it pans left to right, depending on your shape. And let's actually play around with this. And of course, I can modulation wheel downwards and see what happens. And I personally like using a lot of random stuff, especially for machines malfunctioning, sci-fi sounds not working, any sort of kind of glitch sort of effect you can definitely use. And I like using this performer on noise channels as well. On the amp down here, which is what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to add a little white noise. Actually, let's add, let's see metallic, see how that sounds. Let's actually add white noise. You can add a whole bunch of grit using this white noise section right here. And of course, you can add more effects. You can add EQ. You can make things sound super insane and super crazy. So in this video, I just wanted to show you that principle. I will upload this patch if for some reason you have a use for it. If you do, great, fantastic. I'm probably never going to use this, but you can go ahead. So this is just to show you that this performer tool exists and it can do some very powerful stuff. Using this random tool can be a lot of fun and can yield some neat effects, especially if you're doing some sort of glitchy sort of thing. And of course, this thing is used in dubstep and dance music all the time. So that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. And if you like this, please subscribe and thumbs up and all that good stuff to the video. I read every comment and all that good stuff. And of course, sign up for my newsletter. That's where I share all my best stuff for those of you who want a career in video games. I help guide you there and make sure that you do it, you're healthy while doing it, and you get paid working in the video game industry, which is fantastic, right? So please sign up for my newsletter, watch my talk at GDC Europe about the sound design of Hyperlight Drifter, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks!